What's up, friends? Paul here, and I'm excited today to be sharing with you the cleanup challenge. This challenge will help you have better clarity around what you're supposed to be doing and to eliminate those things that have just crept along with the year and you've just let happen. Today, whenever it is for you, beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of the year, is a great time to reset and reprioritize what's actually important and eliminate the distractions and to have more of a minimalist design to how you plan things and get things done. So without further ado, let's dive in and chat about what you can do to make this year the best year yet and simplify the distractions so that you have everything in one place and are able to get the important things done. First off, we're going to start with projects and tasks. This is something that we often just accumulate a long list of things that you need to get done, which is great, but eventually it becomes overwhelming. And if you're at that point right now where you're looking at your to-do list and it's too much, maybe you've got like 1,000 different items on it, this is a great time to eliminate those things so that you are feeling confident and comfortable with the list that you have. And it's actually helpful versus like you just look at it and you're just like, I can't get this done. And oftentimes there's stuff on there that doesn't even need to be there in the beginning. So that's one thing we're going to talk about. The next thing is notes. Having a system in place will drastically increase the likelihood that you'll actually take notes and have a system that you can review those notes so they're actually helpful. Because if you simply have a place that you take notes, but you don't ever review them, or maybe you can't find them later, it's not helpful. And then apps, they're super useful, but they can actually get in the way of being productive. So we'll chat about that. And then lastly, your inbox and communication, because often we have these things and we just let them overflow. And if you're looking at your inbox and you've got 1,000 things staring at you, you have no idea how to prioritize that and understand what's important, what's not, and things get lost, and that's never a good thing. So with that, we'll kick off, and I'll give you some criteria to help you and guide you along this cleanup process so you've got an easy plan to follow. If you haven't done anything about something in a while, like your tasks or projects, it's a good idea to eliminate it or archive it, because if it's important, it'll come back to you. And often, things that you really think are important and you haven't done anything about them in the past year or two, they're likely actually not as important as you think they are. They might be important, but they aren't actually important to you enough that you've gotten them done. So maybe eliminate them and then see if they're important. Maybe you'll be drawn back to them later. But for now, my encouragement to you is to archive it or eliminate it if you haven't done anything about it, or maybe have a do later list. But get it off your project list, get it off your to-do list, because it's not helpful when you've got a list of 20,000 things and you don't know which one to prioritize. Simply eliminate. Next up, notes. My encouragement to you is to have 1 to 2 places max where you take notes. Simply because if you've got like notes in a book, notes on your computer, and then notes in like your, email inbox, it just gets messy. And so to simplify that, my encouragement is to pick 1 to 2 places. I'm saying 2 places because sometimes it's helpful to differentiate your personal and your work projects. But oftentimes less is more. So plan to keep it 1 to 2 places. My second recommendation is keep your note system ridiculously simple. It's okay if it's a little messy, but the main thing that I'd recommend is having it where only active notes are what you see on a regular basis. So when you log into, let's say, you can use pretty much anything, by the way. I'm not saying that I personally use Notion a lot, but it can be over complicated for people. But I like to just keep it super simple for me. So I'll have my Notion have like a notes database. But then I basically have a view where I see my notes, and then I simply have you can see it actually here. I've got a simple 1 click that will archive it. So I no longer see it in my active view. What this helps is just keep my notes nice and clean so that anything that I'm actively working on or need to have these details, I will have it in that section. Another idea is you can employ like a para method. And this can be used across like your tasks and projects. I actually have a video all about that. So I'll link that in the description so you can check it out. But the para method is you've got projects. So this is typically things that have a deadline in mind and that you're actively working on. You have areas. So these are like areas of your life. This could be a business. This could be your family. This could be, different hobbies that you have that are very important to you. Next are resources. So just think of this as like a place that you'll typically go back to on a regular basis with information or different images or videos that you need to reference or use multiple times. This is a great place to put that. And then lastly, archive. And to be honest, archive is probably one of my favorite things because it's nice to get rid of the clutter. If you're no longer working on a project, just take that folder or take that to-do item, that note, drop it in an archive so that you no longer see it, but it's still searchable in many ways. So that's my encouragement is you can use this method. It's very simple. I don't necessarily follow exactly what Tiago Forte recommends with the para method, but I do think that it's a really good, simple system. So for example, a YouTube video might be considered a project, right? But I often have, or like a podcast episode, and I often have my resources all in one place. And so I would actually probably treat it more as an area where I've got all my episodes in one place. And then I've got like a folder inside that with all of the resources that I use for them. So when I create a new episode, I can quickly duplicate a folder with all the resources that I need for that episode, quickly get started. So that to me is very helpful. And then apps. So as someone myself that loves to try out productivity apps, I will admit that I'm regularly trying out different apps just for fun. And so that I can also share that with you so that you can pick the best app for your needs. But honestly, less is more. And most of the time they can all do the basics. They can help you jot down a task. They can help you manage your projects, but often like less is more. So what do I mean by that? So like keep your tasks, things that you can easily identify and they make sense to you. So for example, one of the things that I do for my like projects is I'll actually have one task for that sometimes, and then I'll put subtasks. So, and for example, ClickUp, I used to use a lot for this. And I would, instead of having like multiple lists for each project, I would have a single task for that project. And then underneath that, I would have a like subtask. And that way it made it just so much easier for me to see where I was at with that project. And it didn't get bloated with like a long list of to-dos. It was like, no, all the project information is inside this one task. And it was kind of like a hub for all of it. And it's very simple. And then you could also track your time inside of ClickUp. But again, you can use pretty much any tool for this. Another great, just in case you're curious, some of my favorites right now, I'll just go list them out and then I'll leave links so that you can check them out and perhaps get a discount with some of my affiliate links. But TickTick, great option there. I love it. Notion is pretty cool for taking notes and even you can do project management. I'm a little bit hesitant to recommend it for that just because it doesn't really yet have a great unified system for knowing when things are due. So caveat on that, but it's fantastic for most things. I will say this, it is amazing, but it also has like so many layers of complexity that you can get into. Don't get into the complexity. Keep it super simple. Design it for what you need. And I would even avoid just duplicating someone's Notion template unless it fits your needs. If you do duplicate it, customize it, make it your own. Eliminate what you don't need, add what you want, just because it's such a powerful tool, but it can get in the way if you don't use it well. I still will recommend ClickUp. It's a decent option for project management. TimeStripe, this is a really interesting one. I recently reviewed it and I'm a big fan of this one. It's just a beautifully designed, simple app that allows you to see your goals in one view. So you can see your like day tasks, week tasks, month, quarter, life, and year. It's just super simple and well designed, I would say. You also have, I'm trying to think of some of the other good options out there. But yeah, I mean, I think this would be like a good list to start with as far as, one that I've been testing out recently that I kind of like is linear, just because it's more of like designed for product design or tech work. But I just love the simplicity and the speed. This app is super fast when you compare it to most of the other competitors that take a while to load up. Yeah. So, and then Asana is also a decent option. There's a few great options. I'll try to leave a link to more of them. But yeah, just wanted to give you kind of like, if you haven't yet found a good option, these might be some good ones to check out and test out for yourself. But again, just keep it super simple. If you use one of these tools, again, they're just like a tool in your arsenal. It doesn't necessarily matter what you use here, but just make sure that it's simple enough that you know where everything's at and you can follow those deadlines easily. So I encourage you to have the power of one. What does that mean? So basically, you should have one project manager / to-do list. Caveat, if you have a business or work, you can also have one for that, business or I should say /work. Probably shouldn't have more than two, because again, less is more. Less is more here. One calendar. I personally love Google Calendar. Another great tool that I have used in the past is Sunsama. Beautifully designed app. I've got some videos on that if you want to check that out. OneNote. And again, this is where I probably can have one for business and work. So I will allow that and also keep this very simple, clean. If you need folders, you can organize it that way, or tags, you can do that. But honestly, most of the time, I just work in one space and I just have active notes visible. And then anything that I'm not using, they're archived, gone, don't see it. And then I can always search to find it later. Keeps it super clean, super simple. So yeah, I think that's probably good. The only other one that you could add to this is just like file management, I guess like cloud storage. I personally love Google Workspace because I also get my email through that, and they've got a bunch of other awesome tools. So yeah, this is probably a good starting list to get started with this. Moving on, inbox and communication. This is a great time to simplify. Leave newsletters that you've never read. Maybe you've got some multiple channels of communication with team members. Like maybe you've got Slack messages. You've also got, what do you call it? SMS, text messages. You've got that going on. You've got Telegram, you got Signal, you got whatever messaging apps, Messenger, WhatsApp, and you're communicating with them in all these different places. My recommendation is simplify. For example, if you've got a work organization that you're working for, hopefully they already have something, or your business, you've got something. Slack is a great option. So like one place for communicating with all your clients. So Slack, Microsoft Teams is another one. Sorry, not with your team, not your clients. And what other ones? I know that like some other tools have these features, but those are probably, maybe Discord. I don't know. That one's a question mark. And then, maybe have one that you use most often for communication with your friends and family. But I personally love using a tool like Slack or Microsoft Teams, because I find that when you have your text messages get bogged down with both like personal and work, it's hard to differentiate the two. And so when you're looking for a message related to work, it's mixed in with everything else. So I personally love keeping those two separate. So one thing I will say, a lot of the things that I mentioned today, like the tools, they often have a great free plan. So if you're just looking to get started and don't yet have the budget to pay for something like this for your team or for yourself, just get started with a free plan. It's a great place to start. So yeah, Inbox Zero. Let's talk about that for a moment. So my recommendation is to have a simple way that you process your inbox. Honestly, the most I use is just my inbox and archive. I use Gmail, so this makes it very simple, but you could, if your inbox doesn't allow for an archive natively, you can just add a folder called archive and then archive those messages. Just move it to that folder. Those are probably the two most important. But if you want to get more fancy, I also love using the snooze feature. But you could also, instead of snoozing it, you can have a folder called, I'm trying to remember the names of these. There was a great resource that had like these file structure. But like, maybe it's like active. You've got those messages that you've got to respond to. It's important. And then you've got like a place where you hold messages. And a good inbox zero technique is to have just like 3 or 2 folders for managing either emails that you need to reply to or that you are waiting for a response. So you might have a reply folder, and then you might have a waiting type of folder. That way you can sort through your email really quickly. If you can reply right away, just do that. Just take care of it. But if it's going to take more than 2 to 5 minutes, it might be best to put in the reply so you can set aside a dedicated time to answer those. A person that I love his insights on this kind of stuff is Jeff Sue. He's got a whole video on like inbox zero, but I believe some of the categories that he uses for this is like follow up. So he has a folder for follow up, another for waiting, and then read through maybe their articles or things that just need a glance. I believe at one point he had a different system where it was different ones. So like instead of follow up, I believe it was active, and then waiting, I think was pending. And then there was also, I believe, a pinned option. So like keeping things nice and clean. And he organizes his Gmail inbox with like pinned, pending, and active. Pinned, active. But yeah, it's a very interesting way of doing it. But yeah, definitely can check out his stuff. But yeah, keep it super simple. Like even just reply and waiting is probably perfect enough. And the last person for inbox zero that I want to bring up is Randy Posh, I believe is how you say his name. But he has a phenomenal last lecture at Carnegie Mellon. And one of the things he brought up in one of his talks is that you want to have a simple inbox zero method. And, he basically has an action where basically there's something that needs to be taken on that item, waiting for. Maybe you're waiting for someone else to respond, or you just need to follow up on that further, like in a later date. And then reference could be something that you need to go back to later. Maybe their receipts, instructions, or project details. And then archive. The whole idea is that you want to mostly be able to touch an email once. So you can either respond right away, file it, or delete it immediately. That's probably the best way to approach it. And don't be afraid to delete emails that are no longer useful or important. I will say though that with the amount of storage that you get with most email services or on your provider, you can be able to store many emails if you just archive them. However, most of the time you don't need it. Delete it, unsubscribe. Great. Another recommendation is setting a time for processing your emails. So that's like a deep dive on inbox zero. You probably don't need to use all of this, but yeah, some of these might be helpful for you. So that's the cleanup challenge. So basically what you're going to do, go to your projects and tasks, eliminate the things that you don't need, clean it up, keep it simple, reduce the number of apps that you're using. Can you do it with 1 or 2? Do it. And then notes, clean them up. Have like a simple system that you can use and you understand so that you can process your notes regularly. That's another thing I'd recommend is weekly. Have a system where you go through and just see what notes you have, archive any that you no longer need or no longer needed, or cross them out if you're using a paper planner or a place for your notes. And then inbox and communication, simplify it. Keep it super simple. Unsubscribe where you need to. Have a place for all of your business and work communication so that you're not getting bogged down in your text messages, your emails. If you can have one central location, especially for internal communication, it's very helpful. And then utilize methods like the para method so that you've got a simple, clean way of understanding where you're at and where you can find things. My last invitation, I want to throw it out there. If you want to join a community that's all about taking action and helping you reach your goals, I want to invite you to join Finishers Elite. We currently actually have a Q1 challenge going on. So this is a great way for you to gamify and have a group of people to work alongside. So if you're tired of procrastinating, overthinking, overplanning, overconsuming, then this is a group for you. So just so you can see a little bit inside, we've had great results for some people, reducing phone distractions, completing goals, getting shout outs from John Cena. That's fun. Getting the boat on the water, reducing screen time. It's just such a fun community to be a part of. So if you want to join in, you can actually start a free trial just so you can see it out. So we've got the Q1 challenge going on right now. It's super exciting. Basically a great way for you to stay accountable with a group of people. So if that's something that you're interested in joining, you can join. We'll probably do another one for the month of February. Currently, we're doing one for January, but you can jump in anytime. You can jump in anytime and get benefits. Basically, we're tracking our habits, making a atomic habit, something that you can complete in 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes or less. That way, it's something that you'll actually get done. We're doing weekly goals, those goals that you want to complete, making sure you've got a group of people cheering you on and to keep you accountable, and then your month goal. And it's amazing the results that we've seen so far. We've already seen about 10% of our habits completed as of yesterday. And then also I want to show you, we've got some great resources inside the classroom. This Finisher Fast Lane is great for getting a quick start on what's important and to turn your fuzzy ideas into actual clear goals. And we've got a calendar where we have events. We just recently had the annual planning session, which was great. You get access to that inside the group. So if you haven't planned out your year yet, this is a great opportunity for you to do that. We also have these focus blocks. And what the focus blocks is for it's a time you can jump on a call with other members and to be able to see your task in one place and to basically work in a focused manner, in a focused environment. And it's a great way to get things done. So yeah, if any of that sounds cool, obviously this group's going to evolve as time goes on. Some things may change. We may add things, take away things, but it's just a great place for you to find community and a like-minded group of people that are action takers and people that want to get stuff done. So if that sounds cool to you, hope to see you in the community soon. Be sure to DM me. Actually, I'll probably reach out to you when you join, but feel free to reach out to me once you join. I would love to hear from you and hear your story. So with that, I hope you got some good takeaways. Share any insights that you got from this, what you're wanting to start doing, taking away, eliminating. Would love to hear from you. Before you go, I want to encourage you to smash the subscribe, hit the like button, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts on Spotify. What do you call that? Podcasts for Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I think that's still a thing. But basically, wherever you listen to your podcasts, we're there. So if we're not, let us know. But until next time, my friends, stay messy.